I think he'll be okay for this weekend. I'm optimistic, but he's got an ankle sprain, and he's not going to practice today, and he probably won't practice towards the beginning of the week, and we'll see how he is toward the latter part of the week. But based on how he's handled the last couple of weeks, I'm optimistic, but we'll see.
Do you slide Brockman or Phillips into that spot?
We'll wait and see what happens. We could change some things around, but we went with Adam the other day. He did a pretty good job. He hasn't played a whole lot of defense here the last couple of years in the games, but he's been a really good spare part for us in practice. He's played at the defensive tackle position. He's played at the defensive end position. And then when we put him in the game the other day, he did pretty good. He's older. He's a senior, and he held up pretty good on the line of scrimmage against some of their big, strong players. I think he might have had one technical error that hurt us a little bit on one play. But for the most part, I was very pleased with Adam. So right now, today, we'll go with him, but we'll look, see how the other guys are doing, and figure it out as we go along.
Are you just too far along in the season to move somebody out to the end?
Well, we have Higgs over there still. He's learning the position, but we have Antoine, and we also have Jelani Phillips, who I think is a pretty good pass rusher. He's still learning some things about playing on the line of scrimmage, but I like him when he's flexed out there wide and getting upfield with some pass rush. So we can piece that position together if Ryan was not able to play. But I believe he'll be okay by next Saturday. I'm hoping so anyway.
Obviously, you had the injury to make you get that spot, but how did they get kind of thin at defensive end? Was it a matter of Frazier had left?
Well, we lost one guy there, absolutely.
Was there, in the recruiting process, maybe have you not gotten some guys that you've been targeting or what? You know what I mean? Just kind of what's the history of
Well, we're a little thin there numbers-wise, but we're very picky, who will take at that position, and that limits the pool size down some. But, I like Ryan Russell, and I like the way that Gerald Good is playing right now, and Jelani Phillips is a talent. He's still developing some as a player, and then obviously we had Frazier. We thought, coming into the season, so losing him hurts us a man, and then Robert Macy, is injured, so it's thinned itself out a little bit.
Gabe Holmes has put up some pretty solid numbers for you guys the last couple of weeks. Do you think he's 100% from the health standpoint now?
I think so. I don't think it's bothering his play any. He's behind reps wise. He missed a lot of practice, and he was a developmental player that was learning how to play on the line of scrimmage and really made a lot of progress in camp as far as his technique and the blocking part of it. And then he ended up missing a whole lot of practice time, so he's behind a little bit from a development standpoint, but I think he's okay health-wise. The situation that he has with his knee is something that could reoccur and then have to cool off. But right now, I think he's fine as far as the knee allowing him to play as good as he can. He's just behind a little bit experience and reps-wise, but he's getting a lot better, and he caught the ball Saturday and made some plays and played much better along the line of scrimmage.
They had some cutback runs yesterday. Just as you looked at film, how do you evaluate that?
Really when you come in and look at the film, I was very, very proud of how our team went out and played hard and competed from an effort standpoint to win. We didn't compete well enough from an execution standpoint, and we had our chances, throughout the course of the game. They were a very good football team, and they were well rested, and they had time to prepare, and they changed some things that they did. They put some more things in that maybe we weren't as prepared for, gave us some different looks on both sides of the ball, and they went about their offensive business a little bit different. We had a game plan that was really geared towards stopping number 16 in regards to the run game, and they spread the wealth around a little bit, and I thought that got us out of sync some. They had some great skill players, and a couple times we had them caged up pretty good. They made us miss, with really good, talented players. We come out in the first quarter, we score a touchdown right off the bat, and then we have a couple 3-and-outs, and then on offense, and then they score somewhere in the first quarter. Then the next thing you know, we're in the second quarter, and we get a safety, and so it's 9-7, and then we get the ball back, and we get an 8-play drive, and we get down to the 16-yard line. We're in position to either get a touchdown and go ahead, before the half, or right in the middle of the second quarter somewhere, or at least kick a field goal and come within a couple points, and then we get the ball back, and it's 19-7, and there's still 5 minutes left in the half, and we start manufacturing a drive, and we move down the field, and we get a penalty, and now we have to back it up some, and now it's something long, and and it's harder to execute and get the job done on second real long or third and real long. So, we didn't execute some things as well as we needed to go and play and beat a team like Michigan at Michigan. But I was very pleased with the effort of our football team and them wanting to win and flying around and never quitting throughout the course of the game. And even later on in the game, we had some opportunities, but our opponent negated some of those, and they played very well. Michigan did.
How would you evaluate your offensive line in the last couple of weeks? You're averaging just about exactly 3 yards a carry in the last couple of weeks. Is it the running backs just not hitting the holes that are there, or the offensive line just not making holes?
We didn't get many opportunities to run the ball yesterday. We only had, I think, 27 plays in the first half, and I think we had 10 rushes. Sometimes a running game is something that you have to go out there and try to run the ball some and establish a running game. We had some decent runs a couple times early in the game, but next thing you know, it was halftime, and we only ran the ball about 10 times. We only had 27 plays, and we come out in the second half, and we're behind 22-7, but we still have a chance, and it's a ball game. And Michigan has a very long drive, and we stop them, with a goal line stand down there on the -1 yard line. So that was exciting, But it took 5 minutes off the clock, and you're still down, 22-7, and half of the third quarter is almost over, And then we manufacture a 13-play drive coming off the -1 yard line. That's backed up or coming out offense, and normally if you get 2 first downs, that's considered a successful offensive performance or production when you start on the -1. And then so we get it to about midfield, and we punt it, and then they run a couple plays, and they hit a big play on us. And they made a bunch of us miss, and he's a heck of a player, and now it's 29-7. So our opportunity to run the football in the second half really shrunk when a lot of the third quarter was eaten up on that long drive, and thank goodness they didn't score. And then we took the ball and drove it out of the end zone, got around midfield, and it's been nice to have kept the drive alive and scored, because that would have been a 2-possession ball game with a quarter and a half to go. And we punted away to them, and they make another big play. So it really, comes down to the team really went out there and played really hard, and we took the field believing we could win. And I think we had a heck of a plan. They did some things that caught us off guard. They had a few wrinkles that we hadn't seen on both sides of the ball, and they had 3 or 4 really big plays, and we had 2 or 3 missed opportunities. And as a result, the game got away from us a little bit. But after the game, it was hard for me really to get a good feel on why did we lose like this. I thought we played hard and made some plays and did some things, and we did, but we didn't execute as well as we needed to, and they did.
So how would you evaluate the offensive line over the last couple of weeks?
Well, I think that I think Trevor's playing pretty good. We didn't do a very good job, or as good a job yesterday, with our team takeoff. It was very loud. I thought we had handled the noise situation at Penn State pretty good. We had a pretty decent team takeoff, and it really makes a difference with offensive line play. The safety down at the far end of the field down there, I think we're on the -3 or 4 yard line, and we got a maximum protection and a gap protection. It should be very simple to execute, but they didn't get off on the snap at the same time, and there was a little more separation between the offensive linemen, and the result is a safety. So I think they played hard. They played against a very big defensive front, and I think our team takeoff probably hurt us as much as anything yesterday from an offensive performance standpoint, and it particularly affected the offensive line.
Would you like to get that running game going earlier in the game? Is that?
Well, I would like to just get it going all the time,
right.
But we need to, if we get behind, we got to go throw it, make plays, and we weren't out there enough. Plays offensively, really. Some of that being their offense staying on the field and making some big plays, and some of that us not executing as well. But we want to establish a run game. That was one of our goals going in. We felt like we could do some things to establish a run game, and we ended up getting behind.
What did you see on film from your 2 quarterbacks yesterday?
They played well. Both of them played very well. There were a couple mistakes. There was one time I think Caleb ran a play into a blitz and he should have recognized it and maybe checked to something else. I thought they did a pretty good job of throwing the ball away when they got in trouble some. There were a couple times that we had some protection issues, and I thought they kept some plays alive and did a pretty good job of not manufacturing too many bad plays. There was 4 sacks in the game yesterday, and a couple of them were a result of maybe the quarterback flushing out of the pocket when he didn't need to. He needed to be a little more patient in the pocket. Robert needed to a couple of times, but they threw the ball well. Their quarterback stats are really good. You take the drops out of it and some throwaways out of it, and their quarterback stats are very good. Their official stats for the game, I think, was like 63 or 64% of completion, which is winning football. So I thought our quarterbacks played pretty good. Wish we'd have scored more points and had more time of possession. But I was glad to see Robert Marv get a chance to play, and I thought he did very well. And I thought Caleb did very well too, but I'm really glad to see Robert get to play some.
Other than Ryan Russell, any other injuries of note?
We have a lot of guys banged up, and we have maybe 7, 8 guys that won't get many reps out there today because they're banged up some. We won't do a whole lot. We need to go out and practice on polishing and timing and execution, because we're going to go into another very challenging situation, a very loud stadium, and play against a really, really talented football team. So we're going to have to execute a lot better than what we did Saturday. But we're still optimistic that we can do well. I still think we're making progress as a football team in a lot of ways. The competition is really tough. We still anticipate on doing well and winning, and think we can. But we're going to have to play better because the competition is really picking up.
With the first year of being in divisions, when you look at Big Ten conference teams and where they're stacked up, do you have to look at things differently? Do you have to just zero in on your division and not?
No, I just can't do it that way. I know it throws me off sometimes. Right now I think we're tied for second, which is, I think it's a true statement. And there's like 8 of us in there tied for second or something. But really, I just worry about the next game, the next opponent, getting better, playing good. You can't look that far ahead and get into all that. But it is a little different than what it has been in the past. Absolutely.
Women's basketball team lost during Mango to the ACL. Obviously, you've dealt with guys going down with injuries generally with the ACL. How do you handle that adversity as a coach? Something
tough.
You can't control.
Well, anytime you lose one of your top players, it's tough. But you have to have confidence in the next person, and start getting them ready to go, and everyone else has to pick it up, and they're the type of team that will. They have a lot of winners on that football team. On that basketball team, and they've dealt with adversity before and found ways to win and found ways to rise to the top, and then they will again. But it's part of it. Unfortunately, you have to move on and you have to get ready to go again. I look at how many injuries we had last year. It's like every weekend almost we were starting over again. And, I wouldn't wish that on anybody, but they'll handle it.
Do you get better as a coach handling that?
I don't know if you get better or not.
Can you learn from when you have injuries like that to approach it different? Like I said, it's kind of out of your control. So.
Well, you have to go out there and still produce a team that has confidence enough to go out there to compete and give themselves a chance to win. And even though we didn't win last year, we kept taking the field, with the confidence that we could win. So it's a challenge. It's a coaching challenge, but it's part of it. If everybody was healthy and things were easy, then everybody would be doing this.